At 29 years old, Daniel had everything people told him he should want: a good job in Chicago, a decent apartment, a respectable salary, friends who thought he was successful, and parents who were proud of him. From the outside, Daniel's life looked perfect. But every night, when he closed his apartment door, the silence told a different story. He hated his job. He wanted to start his own business. He wanted to create something meaningful. He wanted to tell his father what he actually thought. He wanted to leave a relationship that had become emotionally empty. But he didn't. Why? Because every important decision came with the same question: what will people think? Then, one night, Daniel was sitting alone in his car outside his apartment. He had just received another promotion. Everyone congratulated him. His boss called him a future leader. His parents were excited. His friends told him he was doing great. But instead of feeling happy, Daniel started crying. Not because he had failed, but because he realized something terrifying. He had succeeded at building a life he didn't actually want. That night, he picked up a book. Its title was The Courage to be Disliked. He had no idea that the next few weeks would completely change the way he understood his life. Before we follow Daniel's transformation, do me one favor. If you enjoy psychology, self-improvement, powerful stories, and books that can genuinely change the way you think, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and comment below. Do I live for myself or for other people's approval? And now, let's go back to the night Daniel opened the book.
Lesson 1. Maybe my past isn't the problem. Daniel began reading. The book is built around a dialogue between a young man and a philosopher, introducing the ideas of Alfred Adler. At first, Daniel hated what he was reading because the philosopher challenged one of his strongest beliefs: your past does not have to determine your future. Daniel immediately thought about his childhood. His father had always criticized him. You need to do better. Why can't you be more like him? You're not ready. Daniel had spent years believing, that's why I'm insecure. The book forced him to consider another possibility. Maybe his childhood influenced him, but perhaps it didn't have to permanently define him. The psychology. Adlerian psychology puts strong emphasis on the purpose behind behavior. Instead of asking only, what happened to you? It asks, what purpose might your behavior be serving right now? That's a powerful shift. Imagine someone who avoids job interviews. They might say, I'm just shy. But another possibility is, avoiding the interview protects me from being rejected. Suddenly, the behavior has a purpose. The person isn't simply broken. They're protecting themselves. And once you understand the purpose, you can start changing the behavior. Daniel's first change. Daniel realized something uncomfortable. Every time he said, I can't because of my past, he was giving his past control over his present. So he took a piece of paper and wrote, my past explains me. It doesn't own me. He put it beside his computer. But he wasn't transformed yet. He was still afraid. Because understanding an idea isn't the same as living it. Fire your first challenge, the past challenge. Try this with Daniel. Write down one sentence that begins, I can't because this happened to me. Now look at it. Don't deny what happened. Instead, ask, what can I choose now? That's it. One choice, one action,
One small step. Question. And Daniel began asking himself, if my past doesn't completely control my future, then who does? The answer would lead him to his biggest problem of all. Lesson 2. The approval trap. The next idea hit Daniel even harder. The book argues that constantly trying to gain approval can become a form of self-imprisonment. Daniel recognized himself immediately. His entire career had been built around approval. He chose his major because his parents approved. He accepted his job because it sounded impressive. He wore clothes that made him look successful. He avoided controversial opinions. He smiled when he disagreed. He said yes when he wanted to say no. And suddenly, Daniel realized he wasn't making decisions. He was managing other people's reactions. The psychology. Humans naturally want to belong. That's normal. We want friends. We want connection. We want to feel accepted. But there's a difference between healthy connection and depending on approval for your self-worth. If someone's compliment makes you feel valuable and their criticism makes you feel worthless, they have more control over your emotional state than they should. Real-life example. Imagine a 27-year-old professional in Austin. He wants to leave his comfortable corporate job and start a small business. His parents say, that's risky. His friends say, why don't you just keep your salary? His coworkers say, you're crazy. So he stays. 5 years later, he has the promotion, the salary, the apartment, the nice car. But something still feels wrong because he didn't choose his life. He chose the version of life that received the most approval. Daniel realized he was doing the same thing. Daniel's experiment. The next day at lunch, his coworkers were talking about something. Everyone agreed. Daniel disagreed. Normally, he would have stayed quiet. This time, he said, I actually see it differently. Nobody attacked him. Nobody fired him. Nobody walked away. One coworker simply said, really? Why? Daniel explained his opinion. That was it. But when he walked back to his desk, he felt something he'd almost forgotten. Freedom. He had spent years fearing a disaster that existed mostly inside his imagination. Your second challenge, the approval challenge. Today, make one small decision without asking anyone for approval. Don't text your friends. Don't ask your family. Don't post a poll. Don't ask, what do you think? Just make the decision. It can be something small. What you wear. Lesson 3. The courage to say no. Daniel had another problem. He couldn't say no. Coworker, can you cover my shift? Sure. Friend, can you help me move this weekend? Sure. Boss, can you stay late? Sure. Family, can you take care of this? Sure. Daniel thought being a good person meant always being available, but eventually, he became exhausted. The psychology. Sometimes people don't fear saying no. They're afraid of what happens after they say it. What if they're mad at me? What if they think I'm selfish? What if they stop inviting me? What if they don't like me anymore? That's approval dependence again, and Daniel was about to test it. Daniel's moment. His boss asked him to stay late on a Friday. Daniel already had plans. Normally, he would cancel them. Instead, he took a breath and said, I'm sorry, I can't stay tonight. His boss looked disappointed. Daniel's heart started racing. For a few seconds, he felt guilty. Then, nothing happened. The world didn't end. His boss moved on. Daniel went home, and he realized the guilt was temporary. But constantly betraying himself had been costing him years. Your third challenge? The no challenge. For the next 24 hours, say one respectful no to something you genuinely don't want to do. Don't be rude. Don't make excuses for 10 minutes. Just say, no, I can't do that. Then pay attention to what happens inside you. Question: what are you really afraid of? The inconvenience of saying no, or the possibility that someone might not like you afterward? Daniel wasn't ready for the answer, because the next lesson showed him that some people's reactions were never his responsibility in the first place.
Lesson 4. The day Daniel learned to let people dislike him. A few days later, Daniel told his father something he had never said. "I'm thinking about leaving my job." His father became quiet. Then came the response Daniel expected. "That's a terrible idea." Daniel's heart started racing. His old instinct was immediate. Explain, defend, convince, apologize, make his father understand. But he remembered one of the book's most practical ideas: separation of tasks. Daniel's task was to make his decision responsibly. His father's task was to decide what he thought about it. Daniel couldn't control his father's reaction, and that realization was liberating. So Daniel simply said, "I understand why you're worried, but I need to make this decision for myself." His father didn't like it, and for the first time, Daniel didn't panic. The psychology. Think about how much stress comes from trying to control other people's emotions. You can't control their opinion, their feelings, their decisions, their reactions. But you can control your behavior, your effort, your boundary, your response. You can listen to someone without obeying them. You can respect someone's opinion without making it your own. That's the difference. Daniel's moment. Daniel walked outside after the conversation. His hands were shaking, but he smiled because someone disliked his decision and Daniel survived. That was the moment the title finally made sense: the courage to be disliked. Your fourth challenge: separate the tasks. Think about one person or situation that's stressing you out right now. Take a piece of paper, draw 2 columns: my task and their task. Under my task, write what you can actually control: your words, your choices, your effort, your boundaries. Under their task, write what belongs to them: their opinion, their reaction, their decision, their feelings. Now ask yourself, why am I trying to control their side? Question: what if some of the stress you've been carrying doesn't even belong to you? Daniel was beginning to feel free, but there was still one thing controlling him: comparison. Lesson 5. The comparison that was destroying him. Daniel had a friend named Marcus. Marcus was successful. Great career, beautiful house, new car, perfect-looking Instagram. Every time Daniel saw Marcus, he felt smaller. Daniel thought, I'm behind. Then the book challenged this way of measuring life. Daniel was treating life like a ranking system. Who has more money? Who has more status? Who is more successful? Who is more attractive? Who is ahead? Real life example. Think about a 30-year-old in Miami. He opens Instagram. Someone is on vacation in Italy. Someone just bought a Porsche. Someone got promoted. Someone launched a company. Someone bought a house. And suddenly, his own life feels like failure. But he doesn't know the full story.
He doesn't know their debt, their family situation, their failures, their sacrifices, their private struggles. Lesson 8. Daniel discovers the real meaning of happiness. Daniel didn't become rich immediately. In fact, the first 6 months were difficult. His business struggled. Some days he questioned everything. But something had changed. Before, he worked to prove himself. Now, he worked because he wanted to contribute something meaningful. That connects to another Adlerian idea, community feeling. Happiness isn't only about asking, what can I get? It can also come from, what can I contribute? Daniel began mentoring younger people interested in his field. He helped a friend build a website. He started creating useful content online. And something strange happened. The more he focused on being useful, the less obsessed he became with being impressive. The psychology. When your attention is constantly focused on yourself, how do I look? Do they like me? Am I successful enough? What are they thinking? You become trapped inside your own self-evaluation. Contribution changes the direction of your attention. Instead of, how am I being judged? You begin asking, what can I bring to this situation? And that can create a stronger sense of purpose. Your 7th challenge, the contribution challenge. Today, help someone without telling anyone. Don't post it, don't take a picture, don't wait for a thank you. Help a coworker. Call someone who's having a rough week. Teach someone something you know. Give useful advice. Do something kind. Then walk away. Question. What if happiness isn't waiting for you at your next achievement, but inside something useful you can contribute right now? The most powerful lesson of the courage to be disliked isn't don't care what people think. That's too simple. The real message is care about people, but don't surrender your life to their approval. Listen, learn, respect, contribute. But ultimately, take responsibility for your own life, because nobody else can live it for you. Your parents can't, your friends can't, your boss can't, your followers can't, and strangers on the internet definitely can't. Your final challenge. Now, don't just finish this video and scroll away. Take out your phone. Open your notes. Write, if I had the courage to be disliked, I would. Finish the sentence. Then choose one thing from that sentence and do it within the next 24 hours. When you've done it, come back to the comments and write, I did it. You don't need to explain everything. Just, I did it. Because then, you aren't just watching Daniel's transformation. You're beginning your own. Final outro. Daniel didn't become fearless. Daniel, 1 year later. 1 year later, Daniel wasn't famous. He wasn't rich. His business wasn't some overnight success story. But something was different. He woke up without immediately asking, what will people think? He could disagree without becoming defensive. He could hear criticism without collapsing. He could see someone more successful without feeling worthless. He could tell his father, I respect your opinion, without adding, so I'll do whatever you want. And perhaps most importantly, Daniel no longer needed his life to look impressive from the outside. It needed to feel meaningful from the inside. The 7-Day Courage Challenge. Daniel's story doesn't have to end with Daniel. You can test the same ideas yourself. For the next 7 days, Day 1, approval. Make one decision without asking anyone what they think. Day 2, say no. Say one respectful no when you genuinely mean no. Day 3. Speak. Express one honest opinion you've been keeping to yourself. Day 4. Separate. Write down one problem and divide it into my task, their task.